Most people don't lose trust because of betrayal. They lose it because of inconsistency. In a world where words are spoken easily and commitment is avoided quietly, trust has become rare, not because people don't want it, but because few are willing to live in a way that deserves it. Anyone can say, "I love you." Few can be relied upon when things become uncomfortable. This video is not about how to attract love. It is about how to become the kind of man whose presence creates safety. Without control, without manipulation, without performance. A Stoic man does not chase trust. He builds it through discipline, restraint, and conscious choice. Not in dramatic moments, but in everyday behavior. If you are looking for shortcuts, this is not for you. But if you want to understand why some men are trusted deeply, and others are only desired temporarily, then stay. Because trust is not given. It is earned. Welcome to the Stoic Love Wisdom channel. This is where we share lessons about love, real-life experiences and tips for building strong relationships. In today's video, I will share with you 10 things that make a man trustworthy in love. These may be things you have never thought of. If you are looking for a deeper understanding of love and how to develop relationships, don't miss this video. Before watching the video, find a quiet space and put on your headphones to feel every word I am about to share. Relax and enjoy this journey with me. Are you ready to start this journey? Let's begin. Number 1. He keeps his word, especially in small things. When a man has lived long enough, he learns a quiet truth. Trust is never built in grand moments, it is forged in the ordinary ones. In my younger years, I believed love was proven through big gestures. Promises spoken with intensity. Plans made far into the future. Words delivered with confidence. But life has a way of correcting men who speak faster than they act. A trustworthy man understands something simple yet rare. His word is his character in spoken form. He does not promise what he cannot deliver. And when he does promise, even something small, he treats it with seriousness. Not because the action itself is important, but because integrity is indivisible. If a man is careless with small commitments, he will eventually be careless with the big ones. Stoic men know this well. We believe that discipline is practiced when no one is watching. The same applies to love. Keeping your word when it costs nothing proves nothing. Keeping it when it is inconvenient, that reveals who you are. A man who says, "I'll call you tonight," and actually does, even when tired. A man who says, "I'll be there," and shows up, even when no one would blame him for not coming. These moments seem insignificant. They are not. To a woman, consistency creates safety. To a man, consistency creates self-respect. A man who breaks his word repeatedly may still be charming. He may still be desired. But deep down, he is unstable. And instability is the enemy of trust. From a Stoic perspective, your word is one of the few things fully under your control. External circumstances may shift. Emotions may rise and fall. But honoring your commitments is an internal choice, one that requires restraint, humility, and strength. I have learned this through failure. I have lost good women not because I lacked love, but because I lacked reliability. Love without reliability is noise. It sounds good, but it cannot be built upon. A trustworthy man does not need to convince anyone that he is reliable. His behavior does the talking for him. And here is the deeper truth most men miss. Every time you keep your word to someone you love, you are also keeping your word to yourself. That is how trust is born. Quietly. Slowly. Irreversibly. Number 2. He does not disappear when things become difficult. There is a moment in every relationship when reality replaces romance. The excitement fades. Differences surface. Tension appears. And in that moment, a man reveals who he truly is. An inexperienced man runs. A wounded man withdraws. A weak man disappears. But a trustworthy man stays. Staying does not mean arguing endlessly. It does not mean winning every conflict or always being right. It means refusing the cowardice of avoidance. It means facing discomfort instead of escaping it. In my early years, I believed silence was strength. I thought disappearing during conflict made me calm, controlled, and mature. In truth, it made me unreliable. Silence without clarity is not peace, it is abandonment in disguise. Stoicism does not teach us to suppress emotion. It teaches us to master it. A Stoic man understands that discomfort is not danger. Conflict is not catastrophe. These are tests, not of love, but of character. When tension rises, a trustworthy man remains present. He listens before he reacts. He speaks without cruelty. He does not punish with distance. Many men disappear because they fear losing control. They fear saying the wrong thing. They fear being seen as flawed. But trust is not built by perfection. It is built by emotional courage. A woman does not need a man who never causes pain. That man does not exist. She needs a man who does not vanish when pain appears. From a Stoic lens, fleeing discomfort is surrendering your power to external circumstances. Staying calm, grounded, accountable, is an act of inner strength. A man who stays during conflict sends a powerful message. I can handle this. And I can handle myself. This presence creates emotional safety. And emotional safety is what allows love to deepen beyond attraction. I have learned this the hard way. I have lost relationships not because the problems were unsolvable, but because I chose absence over presence. By the time I returned, trust had already eroded. A trustworthy man understands something painful yet essential. Love is not tested when things are easy, it is revealed when they are not. Staying does not guarantee the relationship will survive. But disappearing guarantees it will not. So when things become uncomfortable, a reliable man does the opposite of his fear. He stays. He faces. He holds his ground without hardening his heart. That is not weakness. That is mastery. Number 3. His words and his actions are aligned. With age, a man learns that words are cheap, not because they are meaningless, but because they are easy. Action is what costs something. Time. Energy. Discipline. Sacrifice. In my younger years, I spoke beautifully. I knew how to say the right things at the right time. I believed that intention mattered more than execution. I was wrong. A trustworthy man understands this fundamental Stoic principle. Character is revealed through behavior, not declarations. When a man says he loves you, but his actions contradict his words, confusion replaces security. And confusion slowly destroys trust. Not in a dramatic way, but in a quiet, corrosive one. A Stoic man seeks alignment. He does not promise what he cannot consistently deliver. He measures his words carefully, because he knows that every unkept promise is a crack in his integrity. If he says he cares, he shows up. If he says you matter, he makes time. If he says he is committed, his behavior does not wander. This alignment is not performative. It is not done to impress. It is done because living in contradiction is exhausting. There is no peace in saying one thing and doing another. In Stoic philosophy, inner harmony is essential. When your values, words, and actions are misaligned, the mind becomes restless. A man who lives in integrity feels calm, not because life is easy, but because he is not fighting himself. I have seen men lose strong women not due to betrayal, but due to inconsistency. They meant well. They cared deeply. But meaning well does not build trust. Consistency does. A trustworthy man understands that love is not proved in moments of passion, but in patterns of behavior. Patterns do not lie. When words and actions align, a woman does not need reassurance. She feels it. Trust becomes something she experiences, not something she has to question. And here is the deeper truth. Alignment is a form of self-respect. A man who lives aligned does not need to convince others of his worth. He embodies it quietly. His presence feels stable. His promises feel safe. In the end, love does not need to be loudly declared. It needs to be reliably lived. That is the discipline of a man who can be trusted. Love, like a mirror that reflects ourselves. When you learn to love, you are also learning to look back at yourself. What are your strengths? What are the wounds that need to be healed? And understanding yourself will help you understand the other person more deeply. That is also the reason I share on this channel, to help you see love as a journey to nurture your soul. If you find these things meaningful, click like to spread that value. And if this is your first time coming to the channel, don't forget to click subscribe with the notification bell, so we can always accompany each other in the next lessons. Leave a comment below, share your true feelings after listening to this part. Who knows, your little story may touch the heart of someone in need. Now, let's continue on the next part of this journey. Number 4. He tells the truth, even when it costs him. There comes a moment in a man's life when he understands that lies are not told to deceive others, they are told to protect the version of himself he is afraid to lose. In my younger years, I believed honesty was optional. I justified small omissions. I softened truths. I convinced myself that silence was kindness. What I was really doing was avoiding discomfort. A trustworthy man learns a harder lesson. Truth is not about cruelty. It is about responsibility. Stoicism teaches that virtue is the only true good. And among all virtues, honesty is the one that demands the most courage. Because truth often costs you something: approval, comfort, control, or even a relationship. But lies cost more, they cost trust. A man who tells the truth understands that short-term discomfort is preferable to long-term damage. He chooses the difficult conversation now over the devastating revelation later. He does not confess to relieve his guilt. He does not tell the truth to appear noble. He does it because integrity matters more than outcome. When a man lies, he forces a woman to live in a false reality. And when that reality collapses, she does not just lose trust in him, she loses trust in her own judgment. That wound runs deep. A Stoic man refuses to build love on illusion. He knows that love grounded in truth may be tested, but love built on deception is already broken. I have lost people because I told the truth too late. And I have lost people because I told the truth at all. But I have never regretted telling the truth, only delaying it. A trustworthy man does not manipulate reality to preserve peace. He understands that peace built on lies is fragile and temporary. Truth does not guarantee forgiveness. Truth does not guarantee understanding. But truth guarantees clarity. And clarity is the foundation of trust. In love, honesty is not about saying everything without restraint. It is about saying what must be said, when it must be said, with calm and respect. That is not weakness. That is discipline. And discipline is what separates a man who is loved from a man who is trusted. Number 5. He respects her boundaries without feeling threatened. One of the clearest signs of a trustworthy man is how he reacts when he does not have access to everything. An insecure man sees boundaries as rejection. A controlling man sees boundaries as disobedience. A mature man sees boundaries as self-respect. In my earlier years, I confused closeness with possession. I believed that love meant knowing everything, being involved in everything, having a claim on someone's time, attention, and emotional world. What I was really seeking was reassurance, not connection. A Stoic man understands a deeper truth. Love does not require control to survive. Boundaries are not walls. They are lines drawn to protect dignity. A man who respects them shows that he values the person more than his own insecurity. He does not demand constant access. He does not interrogate. He does not invade emotional or personal space under the disguise of concern. From a Stoic perspective, attempting to control another human being is irrational. You cannot own what is not yours. And the more you attempt to hold tightly, the more you reveal fear. A trustworthy man is not threatened by her independence. He does not feel diminished by her private world. He understands that two whole individuals choose each other, not two incomplete people clinging out of fear. When a man respects boundaries, he communicates safety without words. He shows that he is confident enough to allow freedom, and grounded enough not to panic in its presence. I have watched men destroy love by crossing lines repeatedly. Not through betrayal, but through suffocation. Love cannot breathe in a cage. A Stoic man chooses restraint. Not because he lacks desire, but because he possesses discipline. And discipline is attractive. Discipline builds trust. When a woman knows her boundaries will be honored, she relaxes. And when she relaxes, intimacy deepens naturally, without force. A trustworthy man understands that respect is not passive. It is an active choice made again and again. And that choice is what makes him safe to love. Number 6. He is clear and faithful, no emotional games, no hidden doors. There is a kind of betrayal that does not involve touch, messages, or physical intimacy. It is subtler, quieter, and just as destructive. It is the betrayal of ambiguity. In my younger years, I believed harmless attention did not matter. Casual flirting, lingering conversations, the comfort of being admired without intention. I told myself it meant nothing. But it meant something to the woman who trusted me. A trustworthy man understands this. Clarity is loyalty in visible form. He does not keep emotional doors open, just in case. He does not entertain attention that does not belong to him. He does not blur lines to feed his ego. Stoicism teaches mastery over desire, not denial of it. Attraction will always exist. The question is not whether a man feels it, but whether he acts with discipline when it appears. A man who seeks validation outside his relationship is a man at war with himself. He may appear confident, but inside he is restless, dependent on external approval. A Stoic man chooses clarity because clarity brings peace. When he commits, his energy aligns. There is no double life, no hidden conversations, no subtle performances designed to keep options alive. He is present where he has chosen to be. This does not mean he isolates himself from the world. It means he moves through it with integrity. I have seen men insist they are faithful while behaving in ways that quietly undermine trust. Faithfulness is not just about what you do, it is about what you refuse to entertain. A trustworthy man understands that loyalty is not proven in moments of temptation avoided, but in habits formed long before temptation appears. And here is the deeper truth. Clarity is kindness. Ambiguity creates anxiety. Mixed signals create doubt. A man who is clear allows the woman he loves to rest emotionally. She does not have to guess. She does not have to compete. In a world full of noise and distraction, a man who closes unnecessary doors becomes rare. And rarity creates trust. Number 7. He takes responsibility and admits when he is wrong. There is nothing more revealing than how a man behaves when he fails. Anyone can appear confident when things go well. Anyone can seem strong when they are praised. But when a mistake is exposed, the mask either falls, or character is confirmed. In my younger years, I defended myself instinctively. I explained. I justified. I rationalized. I believed that admitting fault meant losing authority. In reality, I was losing something far more valuable: trust. A trustworthy man understands a difficult truth. Responsibility is not a threat to strength, it is proof of it. Stoicism teaches ownership of one's actions. A man cannot control outcomes, but he can control his response. Blame shifts power outward. Responsibility pulls it back in. When a man admits he is wrong, he is not surrendering his position. He is grounding himself in reality. And reality is where trust lives. He does not say, "I'm sorry," to end the conversation. He does not admit fault to appear humble. He does it because avoiding responsibility erodes integrity. I have seen men lose respect by constantly needing to be right. They won arguments and lost relationships. Being right is cheap. Being accountable is rare. A Stoic man does not argue against facts to protect his ego. He recognizes that ego is the most fragile thing he owns, and therefore the least worth defending. When a man says, "I was wrong," without defensiveness, something shifts. The dynamic changes. The woman no longer feels she must fight to be understood. Trust deepens not because the mistake disappeared, but because accountability appeared. Here is the deeper layer most men miss. Taking responsibility creates emotional safety. It tells her, if something goes wrong, I won't abandon you, blame you, or distort reality. I will face it. I have made mistakes that could not be undone. But the ones that truly damaged love were not the mistakes themselves, they were my refusal to own them. A trustworthy man accepts the weight of his actions calmly. He does not collapse under guilt, nor does he hide behind excuses. That balance between humility and stability is maturity. And maturity is what makes a man safe to trust. There are things in love, only when we take a step back, sit down quietly, can we truly understand. I share these stories not to teach you how to love, but so that you can find the answers for yourself. If what you just heard touches your heart, please click like as a way to spread this positive energy to more people. And remember to click subscribe, because there are many profound perspectives on love waiting for you in the next videos. Now, let's continue the remaining journey together, because the most precious things are sometimes at the end. Number 8. He remains calm during conflict. Conflict is inevitable. Loss of control is not. When emotions rise, most men react. Voices elevate. Words sharpen. Old wounds are used as weapons. In those moments, love is not destroyed by disagreement, it is destroyed by how the disagreement is handled. In my younger years, I believed intensity meant passion. I mistook emotional volatility for authenticity. I thought that speaking loudly proved conviction. It proved nothing except a lack of discipline. A trustworthy man understands a core Stoic principle. Your emotional state is your responsibility. Stoicism does not demand emotional suppression. It demands emotional regulation. A Stoic man allows feelings to arise, but he refuses to be ruled by them. When conflict appears, he slows down. He lowers his voice. He chooses words that clarify rather than injure. This restraint is not weakness. It is the result of inner training. A man who explodes teaches a woman that disagreement equals danger. Over time, she stops speaking freely, not because she has nothing to say, but because safety is gone. A calm man does the opposite. His composure signals stability. Even in tension, he remains anchored. And that anchor allows honest communication to happen. I have witnessed relationships crumble not from betrayal, but from repeated emotional storms. Every argument became a battlefield. Every discussion carried the risk of damage. A Stoic man refuses to make his partner his emotional outlet. He processes his anger without transferring it. He understands that words spoken in heat are remembered long after apologies are given. Here is the deeper truth. Calmness is a form of respect. It tells her, your feelings matter enough for me to control myself. Remaining calm does not mean avoiding hard conversations. It means having them without cruelty. In love, emotional discipline builds trust faster than passion ever could. A trustworthy man does not need to dominate conflict. He needs to navigate it. And navigation requires clarity, patience, and strength, not noise. Number 9. He loves deeply without losing himself. One of the most misunderstood ideas about love is that it requires self-sacrifice to the point of disappearance. In my earlier years, I believed devotion meant availability without limits. I adjusted my values, neglected my purpose, and reshaped myself to maintain harmony. What I did not realize was that I was slowly erasing the very foundation that made me trustworthy. A Stoic man understands this paradox. A man who abandons himself cannot be depended on. When a man loses his identity, he becomes unstable. His mood follows the relationship. His decisions depend on approval. And dependence is the enemy of trust. Stoicism teaches self-mastery before attachment. A man must stand firmly within himself before he can offer stability to another. A trustworthy man has a life beyond the relationship. He has principles that do not bend under emotional pressure. He has goals that continue to matter even when he is deeply in love. This does not make him distant. It makes him grounded. I have seen men confuse intensity with depth. They give everything too quickly, not out of love, but out of fear of loss. That fear eventually becomes resentment. A Stoic man does not cling. He chooses. Every day. That choice is powerful because it is voluntary, not desperate. When a woman senses that a man's world does not collapse without her, she feels something unexpected, safety. Not because she feels unimportant, but because she knows she is chosen, not needed. Here is the deeper truth. Love built on dependence feels heavy. Love built on self-respect feels stable. A man who maintains his identity does not demand fulfillment from his partner. He shares life with her, not emptiness. I learned this after becoming someone I did not recognize in the name of love. By the time I returned to myself, the relationship had already suffered. A trustworthy man understands that love is strongest when both individuals remain whole. He does not disappear into the relationship. He stands beside it. And that is what makes him safe to lean on. Number 10. He stays by choice, not by fear, habit, or convenience. There is a profound difference between a man who stays because he is afraid to leave, and a man who stays because he has decided to remain. In my earlier years, I stayed in relationships for the wrong reasons. Fear of loneliness. Fear of starting over. Comfort in familiarity. I called it loyalty, but it was inertia. A Stoic man understands this truth. What is not chosen freely cannot be trusted. Habit is not commitment. Fear is not devotion. Convenience is not love. A trustworthy man remains because he wants to, not because he feels trapped by time, guilt, or expectation. He has examined his life honestly and decided that this relationship aligns with his values. Stoicism teaches voluntary action. Virtue has no meaning if it is forced. In the same way, love has no integrity if it is maintained out of fear. A man who stays by choice brings a different energy. There is no resentment beneath the surface. No quiet bargaining. No emotional debt being collected. I have seen men grow bitter while staying loyal. They stayed physically, but left emotionally long ago. That absence corrodes trust faster than departure ever could. A Stoic man is not afraid to walk away from what no longer aligns, and because of that, his decision to stay carries weight. Here is the deeper truth. A man who can leave but chooses not to is the most reliable kind of man. His presence is intentional. His love is conscious. His commitment is renewed daily. When a woman knows a man is with her by choice, not by fear, she feels something rare: peace. There is no pressure to perform. No anxiety about being replaced by habit. I have learned that real commitment is quiet. It does not announce itself. It simply remains, without resentment, without chains. A trustworthy man does not cling to love. He stands in it. And that is the highest form of loyalty a man can offer. Conclusion. Trust in love is not created through promises, intensity, or emotion. It is built quietly, through discipline, restraint, and repeated choices made when no one is watching. A trustworthy man is not perfect. He makes mistakes. He feels doubt. He experiences temptation. But he does not allow these moments to define him. He responds with responsibility instead of avoidance, clarity instead of confusion, and presence instead of disappearance. Stoic love is not loud. It does not beg to be believed. It does not demand reassurance. It stands firmly in action, consistency, and self-control. When a man keeps his word, stays during difficulty, aligns his actions with his values, tells the truth even when it costs him, respects boundaries, remains clear and faithful, takes responsibility, stays calm under pressure, preserves his identity, and chooses love consciously, he becomes rare. And rarity creates trust. Such a man does not try to be trusted. He becomes someone who can be trusted. Trust is not something you ask for in a relationship. The moment you have to ask, it is already fragile. Trust is something the other person feels, slowly, naturally, because your behavior makes doubt unnecessary. In the end, love does not survive on passion alone. Passion fades. Circumstances change. What remains is character. And character is revealed not in how a man loves when it is easy, but in how he behaves when love demands discipline. A Stoic man understands this. He does not chase trust. He earns it, one deliberate action at a time. That is how love becomes safe. That is how love endures. Thank you for taking the time to watch today's video. I hope you have found useful lessons about love and relationships. If you find this video useful, don't forget to like, subscribe to the channel and share it with your friends. I really appreciate your support and will continue to bring valuable content in the next videos. Please continue to accompany me on my journey to learn about love and relationships. See you again and wish you happiness.